season.
Surprise!
Part 2. I conned Rach.
Bet you didn't see this coming, because guess what? I didn't.
Yeah, she didn't. And she didn't see it coming so much so she took no notes. She thought we were just watching scary movies for fun.
We were just having some fun, just enjoying ourselves. I didn't
No.
know we were going to be quizzed.
No, I told Rach we watched 2 scary movies.
Mhm.
I got 2 out of her this year.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were really well-conceived duo.
If you do say so yourself.
If I do say so.
I would agree. I thought you curated quite the list
The
for me.
perfect duo of movies for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Neither one was super scary.
I really enjoyed both.
Yeah. What were they, Rach?
So we watched John Carpenter's The Thing.
Which, if you were a long-time Summers Off listener, you'll remember first season. I said if we got to 20 ratings and 10 reviews, we would do a scary movie, and we fell short by 1 and each. Or maybe it was 2.
Uh-huh.
And anyways, it was like off the table where he's like, nope, not doing it. I was like, seriously? And she's like, no, the listeners didn't pull her into the park. I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to reward that.
And so we were going to do John Carpenter's The Thing. That was going to be the episode.
All the way back then,
All
huh?
the way back then. But she watched it, and she chose not to do it again. And instead she chose...
Rosemary's Baby.
Grim gritty ghosts come out to socialize.
Also, fantabulous selection as
Yeah.
far as scary movies. Both of them had high stakes. There was the
Good acting.
the great acting
In both, yeah.
famous people in it. Just pop culture. I needed to know.
You did.
I needed to know these things.
And that was one of the things that I thought with these 2 movies. Like, she can't go her whole life without knowing these
she
2.
can't.
Nope.
She
I mean,
won't.
Rosemary's Baby is debatably the second best horror movie of the 60s. Can you think of what the first would be?
The 60s?
Yep, 60s.
Halloween is in the
70s.
70s. So what's before Halloween? We've got it. Oh, Psycho?
Psycho.
Oh,
Psycho's
yes.
1960, I
Yes,
think.
I
So
saw that
maybe
too.
62.
I saw
did.
Psycho.
You saw Psycho this year as well.
Ty was listing like the top 10 scariest movies of all time, and you guys, I've seen like 7 of the 10.
Yeah,
Is that what we
I
decided?
think so. Yeah,
There's a couple that I
you're
haven't,
missing
and
Sinister.
I won't. And I won't.
Sinister is very scary.
Not doing it.
Most heartbeats per minute.
No, thank
according
you.
to a scientific study of the scariest movies of all time.
Well, I have a heart condition, so I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
you
I have a
do.
doctor's note that says that's not a good idea
Oh my
for me.
God, you would be a part of the Sinister lore if you died while watching that movie.
There's people die during.
I don't
watching
know,
it?
probably.
Oh God.
Yeah, you'd be like it'd be like a curse. There's a curse on this movie. We're going to talk about it today.
Stop.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby
Oh my
curse.
gosh, I love curses.
Get freaking ready. Rach,
I'm so
get
excited.
our listeners ready.
You guys, I wasn't ready to podcast, but now I'm ready to podcast.
Are you feeling jacked?
Now I'm jacked. I didn't know.
I watched Terrifier 3 today. Absolutely disgusting. Don't recommend it. It was wild, but I'm not crazy about it. What movie did you watch today?
I don't remember the title. It's the Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh movie, All of Us in Time? All of Us in Time?
Maybe.
All About the Time.
You thought it was called All in the Timing,
All
which
in
is
the
a play by David Ives. That is not what it was. It's a collection of plays.
I'll be honest, the title could use some fluffing, but
Yeah.
fabulous.
Could use
Fabulous
some
acting.
could use some fluffing?
Fluffing.
Isn't
Some massaging.
Isn't that a term from a different industry altogether? Fluffers?
You tell me.
Fluffing?
I didn't say fluffers. I said fluffing.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure. Like you
Okay.
fluff a pillow.
You actually
What's that
educated me
about?
on that term.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I
Mom and
didn't.
Dad, I didn't know what that was until my wife told me about it.
Don't Google it without your safety
Grandma,
search on.
Grandma, do not Google it. So you're feeling jacked too?
I'm jacked up as well. I
Yep.
had a whole bucket of popcorn to myself.
Yeah. Rach so we go to movies sometimes. We've done this twice where I'll go see a scary movie and she'll go to a rom-com or not just a romantic movie.
A good movie.
You went
is
to
what we
It
called
Ends
them.
With Us.
Once, yeah.
And
did
I
that
don't
one
remember
time.
which one I did that day, but we did the separate movie theater thing,
Mm-hmm.
and she leaves with the popcorn and the pop.
Yep.
And
I
last
win.
time I was left with nothing. And so this time I at least made her smuggle me in a pop. But then guess what? Guess what happened? Listen to this comedy of
What?
errors.
What
Before we
happened?
get into Rosemary's Baby, I have to tell you guys this. So I get into the theater. I'm sitting down, ready for this gore fest. I know what I'm getting into. I've seen the first two. I'm like, ugh.
It's your own fault. to
I
be
know. I
honest.
just felt like I had to see it, and it was like I'm never gonna watch it in the comfort of my own home. I want to
Yeah,
watch it.
Do not bring that in our house.
Yeah, I just
Do
want to
not.
watch it in the theater or never watch it ever.
Sure.
And so what I did was I sat down. My wife got me this delicious cherry Coke. I never get cherry Coke.
I know,
always
that's why I got it for you.
I drink diets all the time, and so to open a cherry Coke, I was like, oh my gosh, listen to that extra cherry fizz that fizzes out. It's like, oh yeah. But then guess what? It kept fizzing out, and it kept fizzing out more, and then it exploded like the volcano, the Mentos little experiment the kids do, exploded all over me. I'm sitting there covered in
your contraband
in sugary cherry flavoring. So I had to go to the bathroom and wash myself off like I'm some sort of disgusting little child from Willy Wonka. He gets chocolate all over his hands. And then I got to do the walk of shame back into Terrifier again.
I cursed the Coke.
And so people saw me coming in and out of that movie multiple times, and they're like, what is this guy's problem? Can he not handle it?
Can he not handle it?
He a coward?
Who comes to see it by themselves, too? What a little weirdo.
I saw number 2 by myself as well, but I was the only one in that theater.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was a weird experience. I'll be honest with you. It was probably my least favorite theater experience.
I bet.
I like going to movies by myself, but not that one.
Not that way.
Yeah.
Not that much.
So, and then I spilled popcorn in the parking lot as well.
Yeah.
I put it on top of the car. A wind gust took it, and popcorn spilled on the ground. I saved it. We only lost a quarter of it, but
You're just
it's been a
hot
messy
mess
day.
today.
There was a point where I kicked Rach in the butt while she was writing her summary, and the Butterfinger I was holding crushed in my hand like I'm this all-powerful being, and it flew all over the ground. There's been 3 moments today that have been total shit show moments. So I'm a mess right now.
Well, let's pull it together for the pod, please.
But I'm so jacked to pod about this.
Okay.
Rach, tell us about Rosemary's Baby.
Wow, Rosemary's Baby. So it takes place in the 60s. We've got Mia Farrow, and I only knew a little bit about this because she gets a famous pixie cut in this.
Yeah,
It's like
you were telling me about this. What'd you call it? Is it just called the Mia Farrow?
Yeah, it's called the Mia Farrow.
Oh, okay. Wow, riveting
like
name.
Mia Farrow and Rosemary's Baby. I don't know. It's referred to in other films and in pop culture. So
What'd you think of her haircut?
I did not like it.
I didn't either.
She's
so cute before she gets it.
It's hard because she also, by the time she gets the haircut in the film, so here's the thing. Rosemary and her husband, they move into a little apartment. The apartment, we don't know if it's haunted. We don't know if the neighbors are just weird. We don't know. Something is happening in and around it. But they are trying to start a family. So she gets pregnant at one point. When she gets pregnant, she gets real sick. And that's when she also decides to chop off all of her hair at the same time. So it's not a good look for her. Had she been like healthier looking, I bet it'd be really cute. But
she did that haircut after the film as well. Like she had pictures just when she's out and about on red carpets and stuff.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look good.
You don't like it?
No, I don't. There's so many cute Mia Farrow pictures out there that haircut does not do her justice.
Have you ever liked anybody's pixie haircut?
You have family members that I am worried about saying my true thoughts about this.
Well, don't say that then.
Well, I'm not going to say it then.
No, I'm talking
I
about...
can hurt people's feelings.
I'm thinking about stars. Like, you don't have to talk about real people. Don't bring real people
Okay,
in
here's
here.
what I'll say. Everybody I know that has a pixie cut that I've seen in person, I think they are so hot. They're the hottest people on the planet. They're the best, and they should not be they should not have any judgment for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I don't like it in any celebrity.
No? Not even Halle Berry?
Oh, yeah. Halle Berry looks amazing.
You're right. She looks real cute
She
in a
does.
pixie.
Yeah, you're right.
I think Jamie Lee Curtis looks cute in a pixie.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis does. Yep, you're right.
Okay. So there's some room. There's some wiggle room in there.
There is, but not for you. You look kind of like Mia Farrow.
I've never even had one. That's not fair.
We talked about this. Rach and her sisters, like Mia Farrow looks like she's part of the group.
Yeah,
like
that's what you said.
The four of you could all be standing and it'd be like, oh yeah, there's the 4 Heister Camp girls. Like that would be, nobody would have been shocked by that.
Okay.
She fits in with the group. So yeah, no, it doesn't work for you. And it doesn't work for Nat and Tori either. You should tell them.
I'll tell them. I'll tell them your thoughts on their future haircuts. Well, it may happen someday. We don't know.
I don't think so. So, Rach, tell us more about Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, so she gets, like I said, she was preggers, and she's not feeling super well. And at that point, we're also starting to notice some more weird things happening in the building. I'm going to just jump to the end. Spoiler alert. Spoils. Her neighbors are witches. She's in a witch's coven.
So, first movie, Trolls.
Trolls.
Second movie, Witches.
Witches. Yeah, and basically she is pregnant with Satan's spawn, is what we
What's his name?
find
Adrian? The baby?
The baby's name is Adrian?
I don't know. It has like a normal-ish name.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like, oh yeah,
What
are
a
you
cursed
gonna
name.
take care of Curtis, or are you gonna? That's the Antichrist name.
Baby Curtis.
It's Baby Curtis, Baby Tommy.
I don't know. That feels.
It's like it's.
It's
I
too
think
dated.
it's Adrian.
Adrian?
I think
Adrian
so.
sounds better than Curtis.
Yeah,
But
or Jeremy.
we can call him Baby Curtis.
Yeah, I like Baby Curtis.
So, yeah.
Baby Kurt.
Yeah, the end is basically like, yeah, her, we don't know how she feels about, like, basically, like, she's the mother of, I don't know if he's the Antichrist or if he's just the devil's son. Is that the same thing? I don't think it's the same thing. I think those are different entities, but she gave birth to something.
No, the
not
Antichrist
great.
is his son.
The
I
Antichrist
believe.
is the devil's son?
I think so, because Christ is God's son, so I think the Antichrist is the devil's son.
Okay.
I think so.
That logic checks.
I don't know this for a fact, but it makes sense to me.
That's good theology, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're really excited about what just happened, that he's going to bring about the end of times.
Yeah. Good
And
times.
I think at the end, what do you think is going on in her head?
I mean, she's a mother, and her
Yeah.
instincts are like kicking in. She's like, but that's my baby. Maybe she thinks she can love him through it, you know?
I think so
Maybe
too.
she feels
and
like-
there was some conversation about that with some of the people behind the scenes. Like, does she think that maybe if I give him enough love, he'll be a good boy?
Maybe, yeah.
He'll
maybe.
be a good little boy with weird eyes. So, Rosemary's Baby is a book by Ira Levin, and before it even gets released, Paramount Pictures buys it up because there's this guy named William Castle. He's the same person who was I think producer, maybe directed. I think directed House on Haunted Hill.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the original
classic.
Vincent Price and stuff. Yep.
Yes.
And he wants to
Classic.
direct this film, and Paramount and some of the producers that are on it are like, this is too good of a book for you, my friend.
Oh, no.
Yep. You just stick to the haunting. No, I was going to call Haunting of Hill House, House on Haunted Hill, that kind of stuff. This is big boy stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they did not want him. So they bring in. Do you know who directs this?
No.
Roman Polanski.
Oh.
Do you know Roman Polanski?
I know of the name, but what else has Roman Polanski directed?
He's done a lot of stuff.
Tell me about it.
He's like French. He's Polish.
Oh, wow.
Yep, he's very exotic, and I think maybe also Jewish. I don't know. Can neither confirm nor deny. And he's done things like The Pianist.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He did he do Eyes Wide Shut? I didn't write that one down, but I have other films that he did. We'll run in when he gets there. This is a controversial dude, though.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to talk about why he's controversial. Like,
Yeah.
one of the most controversial directors in Hollywood history.
Oh, that is not someone I want to work with. I never want to work with a controversial director.
Yeah?
I think you're going to make some odd choices and sacrifice some humanity.
So he's also known as being brilliant,
Yeah.
and also known as being the husband to Sharon Tate.
Oh.
He was gone the night
Yeah.
that the Charlie Manson murders happened.
Yes.
That's
okay.
this guy.
I do know of him. Just in a different way.
And he had only made 3 English
Oh,
films at this point.
so
He was
sad.
like just doing French films. He actually meets Sharon Tate doing these English films over in the UK. And he had gone up for an Oscar already with one of his foreign films. And Paramount brings him in for this Robert Redford film. They're like, hey, we want to bring you over to the States. We're going to have you transplant, uproot yourself, because Robert Redford really wants to work with you. But really, it's just a ploy. He does do this Robert Redford film, but really it's a ploy because they're like, Rosemary's Baby is the perfect Roman Polanski film. So Paramount like shoves it in his hands right when he hits the shore. And they're like, go home and read this and tell us what you think.
Yeah, okay.
And he loved it. He read it.
What's not to love?
He read it in one night.
Yeah,
And
as
he
one
said,
should.
I'll not only direct this bad boy, I'm going to write the frickin' thing.
Oh, really?
So he
For the
wrote the
screenplay?
screenplay.
Oh, very cool. He was struck by some big magic there. He was excited.
Yeah, Big Magic. Do you want to tell people about Big Magic?
I just started it today. I'm
Okay.
about 30 minutes in. 30 minutes because I'm listening to it on an audiobook. That's how I take in my books now. I get too sleepy when I read. I fall asleep too fast. So
That's true. That
audiobooks
is
it
true.
is. Yeah, it's a book that's been around for a long time, and I just have never gotten to it. So
It's about like creative energy and like
Yeah, I like
having
it so far.
inspirations and things like that.
yes, the universe. This is my favorite quote thus far in the first 30 minutes. The universe gives us all these gifts, and they bury it within us. And our duty or our job in our life is to dig out these gifts so that they can be shared.
So
I
this
felt
is
like,
what
oh,
Roman Polanski did.
This is his gift.
He had this gift buried inside of him. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, I gotta uncover it and share it with the world. He wrote what some say is the most faithful and perfect adaptation of a book to a movie ever. And part of the reason is because he didn't know English very well, and he didn't know you could take like artistic license with adaptations. He'd never done one before, and he was like, "Oh, I guess I just 1-to-1 this." So
There
it ended up being like an amazing adaptation.
Gotcha. Cool.
So there's a lot of trouble with the casting.
Okay.
There's this producer, his name is Evans and Polanski, and they're arguing a ton, and they're making all these different cast lists about like what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of Paramount versus Roman. And Polanski wanted this all-American actress for his lead,
Mm-hmm.
and he was gunning for this other gal. But the producers on Paramount, they're like, Mia Farrow would be absolutely perfect.
Mm.
She had been in this TV show called Peyton's Place. Rach, what's Peyton's Place about?
Damn it. Peyton's Place.
Peyton's Place.
Peyton's Place. It's like a dude ranch, and there are horses there. Peyton's Place.
Okay.
You come, and maybe you have to be there because you're court ordered to spend some time there.
Oh, it's like a jail, like a probationary thing?
Yeah, but like with horses.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
And who's Mia Farrow in it?
She is the dude ranch handler of the horses.
Oh, she like runs the estate?
No, she runs the horses.
Oh, just the horses.
Just the horses. She's the horse master.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
It's pretty cool.
Any romance and stuff going on there between her and some of the convicts?
I don't want to spoil it for you.
Oh, okay.
But there is maybe a thruple.
Oh,
that
wow.
occurs,
You're
yeah.
really into that with Akatar right now.
It's
so.
wild.
Yeah, very nice. So Polanski, he sees Mia Farrow,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, Paramount, you were absolutely correct.
Yeah.
This chick is awesome.
Yeah.
And
She's so slight.
he grabs her. Do you know anything about Mia Farrow besides her haircut?
No. Mm-mm.
So at the time, Roman Polanski's married to Sharon Tate.
Mm-hmm.
She is married to Frank frickin' Sinatra.
What?
Mm-hmm.
If I knew that, I quickly forgot it.
Yeah, I did
didn't
not
know
know.
that.
I had never known that Mia Farrow was married to somebody famous.
She a little child bride or something?
I don't know. There is an age gap there.
There's
Faux
quite an age
show.
gap there. Just like his grandpa.
So she's married to Frank Sinatra, and he's a big old dick when she gets the script. He reads it, and he's like, nah, not for you. I can't picture you in it. And kind of like throws it to the side.
What a dick.
And she's like, no, I think this is going to be something I take.
Mhm.
So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, okay.
And so she ends up taking the role. Now, for Guy Woodhouse, they're trying to figure out who the perfect actor would be for this. Somebody I already mentioned. Rach, do you have any guesses?
Someone you already mentioned?
I already mentioned them in this
Is
pod.
this Sharon? Wait,
no, not
No.
Sharon Tate.
not Sharon Tate's husband because that's the director. So it's not Frank Sinatra. That
Nope.
was the other guy you mentioned.
Yep. There's a third guy
There's
I
a
mentioned.
third guy. Was it the first guy that we said no for directing it?
Nope.
Nope, not him.
No, Roman Polanski came over. He was maybe going to do a film for this guy named Robert Redford.
Robert Redford.
So Robert Redford.
Wow.
The Brad Pitt before there was a Brad Pitt. The man who walked so Brad Pitt could run.
I hope that's on his tombstone someday.
Robert Redford was going to be Guy Woodhouse, but he was in a major contract dispute with Paramount Pictures and was super pissed at them. And he's like, no, I won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had this question written down. I'll just ask it for you. Rach, if you're going to have a dispute with one studio, what dispute would you have? And why?
I was going to have a dispute with the studio?
Yeah, Paramount, WB, Disney.
I mean, most likely my dispute as an actress would have to do with like grotesque nudity or something like that.
Oh, so maybe like a Blumhouse or like a New Line.
What are you talking about?
Scary distributor. Scary studio.
I don't understand the question. I just know that like that would be something that would come up in contract negotiations for me. I would need to talk about that and like weigh what we were doing here. Are we making art or are we making something else? You know?
Well, what would you say Mia Farrow was doing? Was she making art or was she making something else?
I think the nudity, while it's not necessary in this, I think is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be something that I think you go for it.
You would go for it too?
This is a cult classic. I think you got to go for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze.
Wow. And she looks great, so, you know.
She
you just,
does.
You know,
She's a hottie with a body.
she's a skinny little mini.
So the lead character after that gets thrown, for the dudes, gets kind of thrown up into the air. They don't know what to do. They have a bunch of people come in and read, like 60 stars. I didn't really know very many of them. But one person that was kind of interesting, Jack Nicholson, who had done almost nothing at this time, came in and read for this role. What would you think about that?
I mean, a young Jack Nicholson, I know people think he's handsome. It's hard for me
He
to
was never handsome.
It's hard for me to see it because he just has so much. I mean, his turn would be really, really great. But then I would think then that's going to muddy up The Shining for him. You're going to think like, oh, this is the guy who you think you can trust, and then all of a sudden he loses it. Like, but I didn't say this earlier, but her husband in this essentially like sells her out for the fact for success.
He's
like,
a theater guy.
He makes a deal with the witches' coven that he will like basically give up his wife to the devil and to have his spawn so that he can become
this
famous.
Huge, famous person.
So
wild.
That happened so quick, by the way. Like, he maybe met with the neighbors like twice, and he all of a sudden was like, "Yep, let's do it. Let's drug my wife."
Yep, I'm in.
I'm in. Where do I sign?
Wait, how many plays and movies can I get out of this thing? Yeah, I'm in.
Let's bring the Antichrist to the world, shall we? It's
no big deal.
Just wild.
So Jack Nicholson, though, he had only done Little Shop in 1960. He's
Okay.
going to do Easy Rider in 69 with Peter Fonda, which is like his big breakout. So this is before that. But they end up casting Polanski's buddy, fellow filmmaker, John Cassavetes.
John Cassavetes.
John was in Dirty Dozen. He got nominated for an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
And he did like a bunch of stuff. Like, he was just like in the studio system as this major actor. But I was telling you already, but I want to tell the listeners about this. I love John Cassavetes because he is known as the first, possibly, arguably, the first American independent film auteur. He brought over some of the stuff that was going on with the French New Wave. He was obsessed with filmmaking that the French were doing at the time in the 50s and 60s. And he brings it over to the United States. He's like, I'm going to do that. And he's this famous actor. It's like, it would be like Leonardo DiCaprio being like, forget about acting. I'm going to start directing in this really like independent style where I take major chances. I experiment a ton.
Yeah.
And these aren't going to be critical smashes. These are going to be like weird films, but they're going to be like really artistically appreciated.
Yeah.
And he did some really cool shit with lighting. He was awesome.
Cool.
So I love him. He's a great dude to like study. He has this film called Faces, which I would watch clips of. I showed Rach one that I think is like kind of masterful. He's all about acting.
Yeah.
He's like very improvisational. He like wants things to like feel like they're free flowing and stuff on screen. So yeah, he's awesome.
Very cool. Do you think he got so awesome because he made the deals with the devils?
I mean,
Do you think?
You think he was like, hey,
Is he a method actor?
I'm going to let you have your way with Mia Farrow, my co-star. And in exchange, I know I'm not going to be a big star, but I want to be like a really good filmmaker who doesn't really like get a ton of notoriety for everything I've done because nobody ever talks about it.
Yeah, that's the deal.
That's the deal. Yeah. Yep. If it would have been his wife, maybe it would have been a little bit bigger stakes. But it was like, nah, I can only give you Mia Farrow, who's my friend. So the shoot is an absolute mess.
Oh, okay.
Polanski is super meticulous. And he is like that with his actors. He's like that with everybody. And they got thrown off the schedule right away.
Okay. Day one.
Like pretty much day one
we're late.
became like, oh, we're supposed to be on day 4 now. You're still on day 1.
Hate that feeling.
The schedule was so bad that Paramount, like right off the bat, after just a couple weeks in, they're like, "Are we gonna have to fire this dude?"
Oh, they like begged him to do it, and now they're gonna fire him.
Yeah, and what happened was the people on set were like, "Paramount, hold your row. Check out these dailies. Look at these, like the footage that we're getting right now. It's beautiful. It's masterful. This is like a masterclass in filmmaking.
Yeah.
Don't fire him. You gotta play this out."
Let's just see where this takes us.
What'd you think of his directing?
I mean, it's such an interesting shoot, as far as like the shots in there. So I don't know. It's always hard for me to kind of tease apart like what does the director do versus the cinematographer. What was just written in the story, like what naturally
He's so meticulous.
happens.
I think you can assume he was telling his cameras exactly what to do.
Yeah. Well done, because it is something to behold. Yeah.
And
you know you're watching something important, if that makes sense.
yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like as you're watching it, you know, hey, this is kind of a piece of film history.
Yeah, I don't know that this had been done before, and maybe it was, but you get the sense of like history is being made as you're watching parts of it.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
So Mia Farrow must have known history was being made too, and so she agreed to do all kinds of weird shit on this set. So the scene where she walks into traffic,
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She's pregnant at the time, I think,
Yeah.
and she's like
Mhm.
walking around, kind of getting delusional, starting to feel
Mhm.
like the world's crumbling around her.
Yeah.
And she walks into all this oncoming traffic. She really did that.
No.
That was a real New York street because she
Why
had
would
the
she do
she had the
that?
pregnant belly on.
Yeah.
He was like
Doesn't make you invincible.
Roman was like, "Don't worry, nobody will hit you," and none of the cameramen would film it, and so he had to film it himself because nobody else wanted to be liable
Because
for any
it's
accidents.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid.
So,
it's needlessly stupid.
Way stupid.
That's dumb.
You could have easily
Oh, y'all,
hired.
that's so stupid.
Yep, that's Kerry Washington. I really want to get whipped moment. Like that's a stupid moment.
Yeah, you want to explain what you're talking about?
Yeah, Django Unchained. Kerry Washington was like, Quentin, I really want to get whipped in this scene. I really want to feel it. And Quentin's like, oh yeah, let's do it. Oh, yeah. It's just gross. So come on, masturbation for the actor, and then the director be like, yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
And then she also though, Mia Farrow also ate that nasty chicken liver.
She ate the chicken liver?
And she ate it 9 times.
Oh, gross. That's disgusting.
Would you ever eat that?
Yeah, for sure. For the right role, for this type of a role, yeah, I'd eat chicken liver.
Raw? Raw and chewy?
If it's okay to do it.
I think she was a vegetarian, so I
Oh, wow.
went against her
Now
morals
that's
too.
Extra wild.
I know, right?
Extra
Up
wild.
in the
I
ante.
feel like people eat the chicken liver. And maybe it has to be cooked.
But yeah, do
like,
they cook it though? Do they
don't
eat
know.
it raw with blood all over it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe yes.
Well, it was
maybe
supposed
no.
to be like it's supposed to actually be a chicken heart, but I didn't get that. I got it was chicken liver.
Yeah, I thought liver too for some reason.
Yeah,
but maybe
I
it
was
was
like,
heart.
That's not a heart.
There's no reason that I would think it was a heart though, or a liver. It was just a part of the chicken that you don't want to eat normally.
Yeah.
Is what it looked like.
It's like the weird packet of stuff that you pull
Yeah,
out
the
of like a
gizzard
chicken,
stuff,
and you're
the
like, ew, the
giblets.
neck is there, like the weird shit.
Yeah, like I forgot to take the giblets
Oh
out.
my gosh, there's so many times where Rach has boiled a chicken that still had its little gooey bag that I had to fork out when it was done.
Oops.
You always start the chicken and I always finish it. Have
Yeah.
you noticed that?
Yeah, I have.
Because I have Raynaud's, I have bad circulation in my hand, so I can pull the chicken apart when it's super hot.
Yeah.
But I'm also like not timely on getting started with dinner. And so we each serve our functions.
Together we are a dream team.
The perfect team.
The perfect team, one would say.
So who was not the perfect team? Mia Farrow and Frank Sinatra.
Oh,
So-
yes, Frankie boy.
Sinatra had wanted to do this movie. He was, I think, going to direct it. He was at least like producing it.
Okay.
And it was this movie called The Detective, and he wanted his wife to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought this was going to be like her big break. He's like,
Aw,
you're only doing
that's sweet.
TV right now. You haven't really done anything. This is going to be a huge film. I'm going to break you out.
Mm-hmm.
And she is trying to make both these movies work. So The Detective's supposed to start right after Rosemary's Baby. But Rosemary's Baby, like we mentioned,
Going over.
it's going way
Oops.
over time.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like The Shining a little bit. Like, you remember that shoot went way over schedule too?
I forgot that.
It's
but
like
thanks for
9
reminding
months
me.
long. And so like this shoot is starting to become this long ass shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And so the detective now is like running up against it. He's like, we got to go.
Yeah.
And Mia Farrow's like, I can't. We're in the middle of this shoot.
We're almost done.
And so Sinatra pretty much says, you need to make a decision right now.
Whoa.
You need to choose your husband
Mm-hmm.
or this movie that you're working on.
Wow.
And she was like, oh
Can't
my
believe he gave her an
gosh.
ultimatum.
Yeah. Yep.
She
Don't-
was like, "Oh my gosh, what? What did she say?"
What do you think she said?
I mean, this movie got made, so I think she said,
Boom.
See you, Frank.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka.
How dare you?"
At first, she was going to go along with Frank.
Mhm.
She was like, I have to quit this movie. And she told a couple of the people behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and they were like, Mia, you cannot. They brought her into the editing room,
Mhm.
and they showed her the clips of her work.
Mhm.
And they're like, look at this.
I don't believe you. You're both lying. You're lying. It didn't die. You took it. You're lying. You're witches. You're lying. You're lying.
Yeah.
You're going to win an Oscar.
Did she?
I'll get back to that in a second.
No.
So they were, and she was like, well, I've got to win an Oscar. I'm going to stay on this film.
Yeah, for sure.
So she told Frank she's not coming home. And Frank said, well, I'm going to send you the divorce papers. So she got them on set. She's crying in front of everybody.
Mhm.
She said she signs them as tears are falling all over the page.
She sings My Way.
Yeah. Oh,
So good.
yeah, Rach, what
Epic.
would a tear-soaked My Way sound like?
I don't really know the words to that other than
I do just say,
I did it my way.
Very good. Very good.
Something like that.
But the nice thing is, after the divorce, they remain buddies.
Oh, good buds.
That's nice.
Yeah, thanks for trying to ruin my career.
Yeah, thanks for trying to ruin my career. But the good news was, now that she wasn't getting any, she was able to get some on set.
Oh.
Because
Oh, wow. Okay.
during the
That escalated quickly.
yeah, for sure. I'm like all about these transitions right now.
I love it.
The impregnation scene
Wait, what?
with the devil.
Yeah.
Mia Farrow,
I saw it.
Mia Farrow said there was a naked guy
Oh.
who
Was he?
humped her leg for about 9 hours.
Oh, God.
And he had like little patches of fur like on his like naked body.
Yep.
And he like grinded on her leg for 9 hours. And then when they finally said wrap, that's a wrap, he stopped and he shook her hand. He said, "It's been a pleasure working with you, Miss Farrow." And then he walked off set. She never saw him again.
So, wait.
But she said, listen to this. They were like, "So how do you feel about all that?" She goes, "I actually thought he was very lovely to work with."
He probably was.
Which tells you like how shit people were back then in
for
Hollywood.
sure.
That's the moral I took from it, is like, if that was a good experience.
Yeah, he was lovely.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was nice.
obviously,
Seemed like a nice guy.
it's not his fault that was terribly staged.
What'd you think of the devil, like, interpretation that they had for him?
I would
Kinda
like
like a
to go
werewolf.
back and watch it again, knowing now that aspects of that were happening.
Yeah.
Because
What'd you think?
they make it feel like it's a dream sequence,
Mhm.
and so I felt it was very dreamlike. So I didn't know if it was happening or not. She's in a room, so she essentially gets drugged by her neighbors and her husband, we should say.
Yep.
And then she has this crazy dream that night. She's in this room with all these naked old people
Yep.
around, which in the 60s
and you see some
wild.
hangy balls and some hangy boobs.
It is. It is something to see at this time period. I bet it's pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see this like glowy-eyed, devilish person. That, and then you also see your husband. I don't know. It's kind of complicated, but I'd like to go back and rewatch that part now, knowing how it ends.
Well, then the reason she was like somewhat awake is because she doesn't eat the whole
she doesn't
drug
eat all
dessert
of the
they
dessert.
give her.
Yeah.
She just has a couple bites and then she throws the rest of it in a napkin.
Yeah. Oops.
Oops. Pretty wild.
It's crazy.
So with Cassavetes, the husband,
Yes.
number one, what did you think of his performance?
Is that their hint for today?
They're my friends. Don't
They're a
call them
bunch of
bitches.
not very bright bitches who ought to mind their own goddamn business.
All they said was get a second opinion.
Rosemary, you got the best doctor in New York. You know who Dr. Hill is? He's a Charlie Nobody. That's who he is.
I'm tired of hearing how great Dr. Saperstein is.
Well, we'll have to pay Saperstein. We'll have to pay Hill. Well, it's out of the question.
No, I'm not changing. I just want to go to Dr. Hill and get a second opinion.
I won't let you do it, Rome. I mean, because it's not fair to Saperstein.
Not fair to... What are you talking about? What about what's fair to me?
I thought he was great.
Yeah.
I thought the acting across the board was pretty good. I got a little annoyed with the neighbor lady sometimes, but now...
Minnie?
Yeah. But after
Can you
everything
do a
was
good
said and
Minnie?
done,
Like, do
I
you know?
don't think I can.
She's like a New York Jewish woman who talks
Yeah.
really fast and like interrupts you all the time and is like super overbearing and stuff. Like,
Yeah. I think some of her acting choices,
very
choices
stereotyped.
at the
I feel
beginning
like.
were kind of annoying, but then as I got to know that character, it made sense to me.
Listen, Rosemary, I got a 2-inch thick sirloin steak sitting defrosting right this minute. Why don't you and Guy come over and have supper with us tonight? What do you say?
Oh, no, we couldn't.
Why not?
No, really, that's very kind of you. but
Listen,
we-
be a real help to us. First night we'll be alone since.
Are you sure it wouldn't be too much trouble for
Oh,
you?
honey, if it's trouble, I wouldn't ask you.
She won an Oscar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll just tell you that right now. She
Oh,
won Best Supporting Actress.
Very good. Good for Minnie. What do I know?
But I was entertained by her, but also annoyed by her at the same time. So Cassavetes, I agree. I think he's tremendous. I thought Mia Farrow was great as well. Her transatlantic kind of annoyed me at the start, but I got used to it after a while.
Isn't that just how she talks? Isn't that how people talked back in the day? Isn't that just... That's just the 60s.
Oh, I want to have a baby.
I want to have a baby. That's British. It's so hard to walk that line so
no,
hard.
but it is. It's literally, that's the line you're walking. Transatlantic. You're walking British versus United States.
Yeah, yep.
It's new dialect. So Cassavetes and Polanski, they were buddies beforehand, right?
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why he got this role. But the whole time they were on set together, They were not having a good time.
Oh, okay.
And Cassavetes, he likes this, like I said with his directing, he likes this improvisational style. He likes like beat-to-beat acting. Like
Sure.
I have to justify why I make this choice. I didn't read that he was a method actor by any means or anything like that, but he very much wants to like, this moment, I have a realization that leads me to this moment.
Yeah.
And I want these moments to
He
like
wants
be
the process.
justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a reason why I make every choice. And Polanski was pretty much just like, enough with your stupid actor bullshit. Just pick up the glass and put it exactly where I tell you to put it. Like no improvisation. No like, oh, I'm making a new physical choice. You're going to make the choice I tell you to make. Like you're my puppet. And so they had this major clash on set.
Are you worried that in future projects when I'm going to direct you that I am going to make you my puppet? Does that ever worry you at all?
No, because I'm such a pain in the ass actor when I feel like I'm not getting like a
What you need.
artistic experience. When I feel like this is just I'm doing something to help you out, I'll say things like, look, I'll do it this way, but it makes no sense to me. And I think I don't have a justification. And if they can't tell me a justification, I'm like, I'm just going through the motions here. I'll throw this in the can for you. But like, it's not going to work.
It's going to be great. I can't wait.
So I'm very open about it. I give you what you want,
Yeah.
but I also voice
Oh, you're going to give me what I want.
I also voice my displeasure.
And we'll take some of that.
Yeah? You'll take my displeasure for your pleasure. So the other characters on set, the witches.
The watches.
Yes, the witches, they start getting very nervous
Why?
because
Tell me more.
they don't like how many times they have to say, Hail Satan.
God is dead! Hail Satan lives! The year is one! Hail!
It makes them very nervous.
Sure.
They
Yeah.
are worried about not only the reception of the film,
Yeah.
they're also worried about like their
Valid.
own personal like religious experiences, like saying Hail
Also,
Satan all the
it's
time makes them
60s,
nervous.
valid. I hear that.
And then they start getting worried that this is going to be a cursed film. And so they start talking about like curses and all this stuff, and some weird stuff starts happening to people on set.
Oh my god.
The composer takes this nasty freak fall, goes into a coma,
What?
dies a year later.
Whoa.
The main producer guy that Roman Polanski is getting in arguments with, he gets like this gallbladder kind of infection, gallstones or something like that, almost dies,
Oh my gosh.
and it gets hospitalized for a long period of time. Roman Polanski has what's her name get killed by Charles
happens
Manson.
during this
That
time?
happens right after this. This came out in 68, I think, and that happens in 69.
Oh my god.
So like
That's
right
wild.
around that time.
That's really wild.
Yep. So people like think like, is there a curse to this thing? And then the building that they shot in was called the Dakota, that big hotel. It's our big apartment complex. That's the same exact place where John Lennon got killed in 1980.
Oh snap.
Yep. So also possibly part of the curse.
Lot of cursing.
A lot of curses for saying Hail Satan and making this
I-
demonic film.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I love a good curse story.
Yeah?
That's,
You like the
that's
crow?
the lore I want to hear about. That's
Yep.
the hard-hitting news. Give me all of the little tidbits.
So, yeah, I am. I think this could be said that this is the first, like, Antichrist film. The first, like, demonic, not demonic. I mean, Exorcist is gonna be after this, and there's other like ghost films and stuff like that. But I think like as far as like getting into devil talk and like cult worship and things like
Sure.
that, I think this film breaks the ground.
Well, if it's not the first, it's one of the first that's at this level of popularity.
Yeah,
like there
yep.
might have been other ones that are before this time, but not at this level, not at like Oscar level.
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
If there are, who knows? I don't know. I'm not a cinephile, but I can't think of anything that came before this that was all about Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow,
and
wow,
I
wow.
mean, a definite inspiration to films like The Omen. There's an Antichrist movie that comes out in the 70s. Those both are in the 70s. Exorcist. Like all those movies claim this is their inspiration.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Now, I want to talk about the ending,
Okay.
which we've already talked about. So in the book, she is going to try, and she has like several things that she's thinking about at the very end when she goes up to the baby, and it's like they're like, go ahead, rock the baby or whatever. So she is in that moment in the book thinking, okay, I can kill this baby. I can try to show it how to be good in this world, and I can try to raise it as like a good little child. or I can pretend that I'm going to raise this baby and I'm going to take it to the Pope the first chance I get. So like those are like her three options she's banding about.
Interesting.
Now Roman wanted this to be completely up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think she was going to choose at the end of this film?
I think it's very vague.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really comes down to what the viewer thinks.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could totally see why someone would think any one of those three things.
What'd you think?
I think I don't know. I don't know what I think. I think maybe she's going to try to raise it.
I think she's going to try to raise it.
I think it leans a little bit sentimental
Yeah.
for her as she's looking at the baby. She doesn't look at it with disgust. She
Uh-huh.
looks at it with love, like
Yeah.
a mother's love.
Yep.
And I think there's like a line there too, like, well, aren't you his mother?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Aren't you his mother? So that's just my gist. But if someone thought something else, yeah, I think that's valid too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. Rosemary's Baby came out June 12th, 1968,
Mm-hmm.
so a year before, what's her name?
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate, yep,
Mhm.
before the Sharon Tate stuff.
So it came out a year before, so it was out in public knowledge
I
before
think
that
so,
happened.
yeah,
Okay.
yep,
Gotcha.
yep.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, and it cost $3.2 million to make,
Mm-hmm.
makes 10 times its money, makes $33 million.
Well done.
Smash
well done.
hit. Now here's some tags for you.
Okay.
It's not what you were expecting.
Oh,
You like that one, don't you?
I do. I love the play on the word.
Pray for Rosemary's Baby.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Conceived in terror, born in fear.
It's like the same thing. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
You know
really
what's funny?
understand that.
That is exactly conceived and born, terror, fear. Those are the same thing. It just restated
I'm
it.
just confused.
It's not what you were expecting?
I love that one.
I do too.
That's the winner.
That's clever shit right there.
I love it.
What do you think the Rotten Tomato score is?
100.
You're so close.
Am I really?
It's 97%.
Yeah, I thought it would be real high.
Audience is 87%.
I think audience is going to be a little bit lower. The devil is not for everyone.
Yeah, as
Not everyone's into devil
as
movie.
Denzel would say, the devil comes for you when you're at the highest point of the mountain. Don't worry, son. The devil will come and get you.
The devil you know.
The devil you know. Yeah, if you guys don't know this, Denzel says, just go look it up.
Just Google Denzel and devil talk.
Yeah,
He
Denzel
talks about the devil a
talks
lot.
about the devil in interviews more than a normal human being ever should.
Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil comes for you.
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong.
It's just like, wow, this man's really obsessed with the devil.
It's not bad advice.
No, it's all good advice.
But it always just seems a little like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go there, huh?
Denzel's talking about devils again, huh?
Denzel's talking about the devil.
Yeah, he does this sometimes. I feel like Paul Mescal, like, he's like, yeah, Denzel talks about the devil pretty frequently on Gladiator 2's set. No big deal.
No big deal. No big deal.
So here's a consensus. A frightening tale of Satanism and pregnancy that is even more disturbing than it sounds, thanks to convincing and committed performances by Mia Farrow and Ruth Gordon. Ruth Gordon's Minnie.
Is the lady, yeah.
Here's the reviews. The San Fran Examiner. They say, a delightful witch's brew. A bit overlong for my taste, but nearly always absorbing. And Variety says, writer-director Roman Polanski has triumphed in his first U.S.-made pick. The film holds attention without explicit violence or gore, and Farrow's performance is outstanding.
Yeah. Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
I tried to find a bad one, and the only thing that I could find like negative critiques would be like, oh, this isn't even scary. Like from like some newer reviewers,
Sure.
moms in basements .com.
Moms in Basements.
I don't know, some like little podunky reviewer.
What are they doing?
They're like, yeah, this isn't even scary. Or it'd be like, this movie's long and boring.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
their
yeah,
complaints.
that sounds like a pretty lame complaint.
Did you think the movie felt long?
I think there's spots where you could have trimmed a little bit, but I don't remember thinking it was too long.
Anything in particular that you would have trimmed?
Maybe her walking in front of all those cars for no good reason.
Oh, well, that wouldn't have taken very long to trim that up. That's an easy adjustment.
No, I can't think of anything that I would have trimmed, but I could see like where it did feel like a little long at times.
I like it. I like the build.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mia Farrow is like kind of entrancing, like to watch her kind of go down this rabbit hole. I think that Cassavetes and like you ever want to talk about gaslighting, like you can watch gaslighting happen.
Definition.
It's wild.
Have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
Yeah, that's gaslighting for you if you're ever curious. Like, what does that really look like? It's like, oh, you gotta watch Rosemary's Baby.
You're crazy. Yeah, it's so unnerving because you don't know where. You have a gist of where it's going to go, but you don't get there. I mean, I didn't know we were landing on witches until like 2/3 of the film. Like when she gets a book from a friend who later dies, who's also cursed,
They
right?
steal his glove.
They steal his glove.
To put curses on it.
Yeah. There's a couple of pieces like that I thought, like, wait, whose glove? Wait, what? So a little muddy in some of those spots, but
Sure.
But yeah, essentially her friend like leaves her this book and it's about witches and it's about this like legacy, this line of people, and the man who lives next door is the great grandson or the son of a famously known witch that used to live in that building. So yeah, I didn't know where we were going exactly. If it was going to be more like haunted stuff, if it was going to be like just weird sociopathic neighbors or what. But I liked where we landed on.
You like the witches?
I love witches. Witches stories are fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And super scary. And yeah, and then
Like Roald Dahl's witches.
just like also super fun.
Angela Houston.
Kind of
She's
scary.
scary.
Very
She
scary.
scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah, she did that a lot.
Yeah. So Mia gets snubbed at the Oscars.
Did she get nominated at least?
She did not even get nominated.
Oh no, and she broke up with Frank Sinatra.
This was the year, and I didn't even know this happened. 1968 or 60, it might be 69 because of how years work. I don't know if you know how years work.
How do they work
Yeah.
again?
Since this came out in June, it might have been probably in 69 in February or March. So this is the year where they gave 2 Best Actress Oscars out.
What?
Did you know about this?
No.
Katharine Hepburn got one for Lion in Winter, which I've read the play. The play is very long.
Okay.
And then Barbara Streisand won for Funny Girl.
Oh.
And so they gave out a double Oscar.
I've never heard of such
I haven't either.
calamity. What?
I mean, the Academy
Why?
is way too big. There's no way you could do it now because nobody would buy like, yep, they tied. 15,000 people, and they tied.
It was a tie.
It's incredible. I can't believe this happened.
Then no tiebreaker in sight.
But I don't know if they legitimately tied or if the Academy was just like, we can't only honor one. There's probably a great backstory to this.
Yeah, that probably needs some more scoop digging into it.
But Mia Farrow, yeah, she didn't even get up. She was known as one of the biggest snubs of all time.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went through the ringer for this. I don't know if it was just with like makeup, but like it seemed like she did a body transformation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
It looked like she lost weight,
Mm-hmm.
but it might have just been
possible.
like how they did it. And she was also very, like I said, very slight to begin with. So she doesn't look well. And usually we give a lot of praise to people who do that to their bodies for films. The boys always get the awards
Bale,
for that.
Machinist, everybody's like, wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Matthew McConaughey.
Tom Hanks did it again.
Matthew McConaughey wins an Oscar, Dallas Buyers Club for doing it. So
exactly.
yeah, like she should have at least been up. What'd you think about Minnie winning a Best Supporting Actress?
Like I said, I was a little annoyed with her at times, so I don't know. I'm not as like up to date on what she was against in the 1969, but or 68 or whatever the year was. So it's hard to I guess weigh in on that, but that surprises me a little bit.
Yeah, same here. There's a ton of backlash after this movie.
Yeah,
Bringing the devil into Hollywood.
I'm sure.
But no one got mad at Night of the Living Dead, which came out the same year, which brought zombies into Hollywood.
Well,
Nobody cared about that.
That's different. Zombies are
We
different.
care about witches and the devil.
Yeah, that's real. That's why it's so scary.
Rach, is there ever a chance I could get you to watch the movie The Witch?
You would think that because I just professed my love of witch movies, but I think that's probably gonna be a little too scary for me.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite scary movies of all time.
Yeah, but I think you know my.
I think
my
you can
taste in-
handle it.
You think so?
I do.
Are you saying that just so I watch it?
Yeah. There are certain things I know you can't handle. You're
Yeah.
never going to be like Sinister. As much as I would love you to watch that, it's too scary.
Yeah.
It made me almost poop my pants.
Yeah, no
The
thanks.
first 2/3, the last third quarter is terrible, but the first like 2/3, 3/4, I literally couldn't sit down on our couch. I was like standing up in our apartment that we owned we had a long time ago, and I'm like pacing around while I watched the movie. I was so scared.
Do you think
I
it
don't know if
holds
I've
up?
ever been more scared.
Have you watched it again since?
No, I should put it on the
You
list.
should just see how because you're
But
a
what
man
if it
now.
doesn't?
Well,
Yeah, then I was just a boy.
Then you're just a child. You're some little man child. Now you're a man.
Yeah, you're right.
Who knows? Or don't ruin the magic for yourself.
I know. There's kind of a little bit of romanticism about how it went down.
But yeah, to answer your question affirmatively, I don't know. Probably not, but I don't know.
You watched Hereditary?
I know, and I rue the day because
You
that is
do?
a scare. It was so scary.
No, I know, but aren't you
It's one of
glad
the
you
scary-
saw it? People still talk about
Only
it.
because now I can like throw that out when we talk about scary movies with people when they ask like what's the scariest thing I've ever seen. And it's like, well, Hereditary was up there. That stayed with me.
Yeah.
I had nightmares of Toni Collette climbing my walls. That's pretty scary thoughts.
Dude, I just rewatched The Conjuring, which you always talked about being super scary. It's nothing compared to Hereditary.
Yeah.
Hereditary is way scarier.
It's just so visually disturbing.
Yeah.
And
It's
scary
so good.
at the same time.
Okay, are you ever going to watch Midsommar?
I could be convinced to watch Midsommar.
It's not even scary at all.
I love Florence Pugh. I've decided that as of today, after watching her in yet another film where she rocks it, I'm a big Florence Pugh fan. And she's 5'4". So anytime I look to see like, hey, I'm about that height, I could look pretty normal next to Andrew Garfield if it ever came to that.
You absolutely would look normal next to Andrew Garfield.
Would
You're
I?
already worried?
Oh, yeah, of course I
He's-
was worried. I
how
think about
tall
that
is
all the
he?
time. I don't know.
Probably my height.
I know, but sometimes I think I look too short for you.
You do? You think so?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think everybody sees this and they think, gosh,
What a cute couple.
that is one of the hot. I would do anything to watch those two.
No.
Yeah, they don't say.
I hope they don't.
They
think
don't
that.
say cute things. They don't like, oh my god, those are the cutest couple I ever seen.
They
They're
don't
like,
say
I want to watch those two bone.
No.
Yes,
No.
Bone City. Oh.
Gosh, that's really messed up. Ty.
That's the conversation. So I didn't see this movie until like 2 years ago. Rosemary's Baby.
Why did you watch it?
Just on a whim.
What possessed you?
I was nice.
Oh.
I was just like, I was okay.
Go
I'm gonna
on.
be transparent.
Yeah. You saw like you could see somebody naked and you're like, oh,
No,
sounds like a good one. Well, which of these movies could I see some boobs in? Is that how this came about?
No. How dare you? That's so mean. No, what happened was I was working in admissions, and around Halloween, I have to stuff envelopes all day long.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
there's nothing to do. Like, I can't go anywhere. I'm in the office just like what do you call it? Freaking getting people pretty much enrolled in school. And so I'm doing admission stuff all day long, constantly. And so it got to the point where I was like, I have hours of this. And so I just started watching movies while I did it. And this was one of the movies that I watched.
Just came up and you're like, yeah, let's
So
throw
I've
it
never
on.
seen it, and it's a classic. I think I'm just going to throw on Rosemary's Baby. And I watched it, and I had the time of my life.
I am so glad you did. Because we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it had you not have screened it first.
Yeah.
Because I will not watch something scary-wise that has not been screened. by you.
I understand that.
You are kind of like my gateway into that world. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of trust I place in you with that.
Wow.
And
It's a lot of pressure.
well,
placed in me.
it is and it isn't. Like you've earned it, but you need
I
to
did
know.
really well this year.
You knocked it out of the park this year. I had fun watching. I'm gonna put air quotes on scary movies, suspenseful, scary Halloween themed movies. I had so much fun.
You'd put these both in the horror genre. The thing you'd put like sci-fi horror, and Rosemary's Baby though it would be in the horror.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby for sure.
Yep.
The Thing was so much like I had watched Night Country. That was True Detective.
Yep. The
Which was
Jodie
actually
Foster one.
which was scarier than The Thing, obviously, because it has a lot more paranormal elements to it too. But so many similarities between those two movies, both taking place in like frozen Alaska, where no one can hear you scream, and you have to worry about the elements also coming into place too. That's also one of the villains in this is the freaking temps. So yeah, really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So Rach was trying to weasel out of it, though.
I was.
What did
I'm
you,
a weasel.
What did you? We were in negotiations. I was trying to get her to watch one episode of Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, yeah.
And she wouldn't do it.
Nope.
And what
Still
was your
no.
rebuttal? Did you rebuttal back like Silence of the Lambs or something? And I was like, no, you're gonna watch that no matter what.
I want to see that one.
I
I'm
know.
interested in
I was like, that doesn't even count. It's not horror. It's suspense.
it's gonna be good.
And so I would throw out all these other good movies, and she was like, no. And she'd like rebuttal like suspenseful thrillers, like Panic Room style. And I'm like, no, we're not watching that. That's not even on the table. Get that out of here. So speaking of other Satanism movies, Rach, you've seen The Exorcist?
Yep.
Would you watch The Omen?
What's The Omen?
The Omen is another like little kid who's born from the devil. Only in this one, the little kid starts to kill people.
Ooh. Not unless it did like really, really well and it was like highly regarded. I don't
haven't
think
seen
it's
it.
that good.
I haven't seen it since I was a younger lad as well.
Yeah, it's got to have some legacy behind it. If I'm
Okay.
gonna risk the nightmares of it, it's got to be something like, well, you gotta watch The Shining, you gotta watch The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, I was trying to get you to watch Barbarian, which is like half comedy.
Nah, that's.
I
too-
even told you what the thing is. I told her about all the scary moments, and she was like, "No, I'm good."
No, because it has to do with like Airbnbs, and if I ever want to travel without you or even with you to Airbnbs, like how can I live that life? I'll be in fear forever.
I think you should watch it still.
That's a really scary concept. It's a really scary concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a great movie. So, this movie inspired a bunch of like spin-offs and sequels that were almost all straight to TV.
Sure.
Would you like want to like hear a continuation of the story?
No.
I don't either. It feels
Especially
like
not for TV.
yeah, it is what it is. I don't
It'll
wanna
be
see
this
anymore.
like PG garbage.
Yeah.
This is R for a reason. Like I'm assuming R. This was edgy at the time too. It's even edgy now, I would say. So no, I don't want to see some made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Rosemary's cousin's baby, like whatever it would come up with. No, thank you.
I think it was like her raising the child. And I think there's other witch stuff going on.
More witch stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think so. But in the right hands, that could be interesting, but not in a made-for-TV movie.
So get this. You want to talk about the real horror?
Always.
The real horror
Get to it.
is what happens to Polanski after this.
What happens?
So Roman Polanski, right after Sharon Tate dies,
Yeah.
he I think it's in 1971, he goes over to the UK. He films this travesty of a Macbeth. I don't know if you've ever heard of this.
Nuh-uh.
It's got like tons of like bloody violence in it and a shit ton of nudity. Like Lady Mac is like completely naked in certain scenes and stuff. And it gets slapped with an X rating.
Sure.
So it's an X-rated Macbeth.
Wow.
And I've seen clips of like certain speeches. I think the speeches are pretty terrible. And so I don't think it's a very impressive one.
Yeah.
So he does that. And then he starts doing like a butt ton of movies. He did this Chinatown movie, which like got a bunch of Academy consideration. He did The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it? Oh, okay.
Ninth Gate?
He's a writer, and I think he's trying to open the gates of hell.
More hell.
More hell stuff.
Oh.
And then he did Carnage, the God of Carnage movie, based on the play.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, with John C. Reilly and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's him
Oh.
as well.
Well, that was a good adaptation.
And then my favorite thing that he's ever done, even more than this movie, The Pianist.
So good.
The Pianist is so good. I was late to that one. I watched that one given plasma, and I was like, holy shit. This movie is I thought it was going to be so boring.
No.
I was like, this guy, Adrian Brody, he's like playing piano, I guess, and like the Holocaust.
World War II, he plays the piano.
It's going to be super dramatic or whatever and all this stuff.
No.
And then I watched it, and it was so, like, there's so much action in that movie.
Yeah.
He's running around trying to survive. He's on a fight for his life out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an amazing movie. I was like stunned by it. It's like, holy shit. So if you haven't seen The Pianist, go watch The Pianist. It is not boring. So in 2018, Roman Polanski gets expelled from the Academy along with Bill Cosby during Time's Up.
Uh-oh.
Because
What did he do?
back in 1978,
Yeah.
he is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl at
Oh.
Jack Nicholson's pool.
Oh.
I don't know where Jack was,
Gross.
but after it happens, he flees the country. The U.S. is tracking him down. He gets caught in Switzerland.
Uh-huh.
And then he like has to go to an international tribunal. And Hollywood is trying to stop his sentencing They're trying to protect him.
Ugh,
and well, actually, they might have tried to protect him before he fled the country.
I'm
I think actually.
sure there's been things.
Let me read you the story. I actually remember this story more accurately now.
Okay.
I was about to tell like a somewhat mixed up version. So that all happened. He gets accused of it by this 13-year-old girl. Hollywood tries to step in with the judge and say like, hey, let him off. All the studios are coming to bat for him and stuff. Like, come on, it's Roman freaking Polanski.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. And the judge shows a signal that he's going to allow him off with like this plea deal, and which I think was like no jail time. And it was just like community service and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then the judge at the last second gets a wild hair and is like, no, F these studios, F Roman Polanski. I'm doing the right thing. I'm coming after him. Well, the judge had told somebody in his like team, and that person leaked it to the studios. They're like, hey, guess what? Polanski, he's going to get arrested. Like, he's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
This is going to be a
They're
guilty
coming for
verdict.
him.
Yep. And so Polanski was like, oh, shit, I got to get out of here. And so Polanski, he flies over to France. Then he runs around Europe trying to evade the authorities. Finally, they capture him with a military tribunal. And he's pretty much kind of excommunicated from the U.S. And he lives in France pretty permanently. He does come back to the United States eventually to film, like, for short stints to film other films.
Of course, because he gets to work
So the
still.
studios don't care about it.
Ugh, of course they don't.
But it's just like, how are we going to do this workaround? Because he can't be a permanent citizen of the United States.
That's the real horror story of all of this.
And
like,
the saddest part,
what's the sadder than that?
the cases continued.
The cases. Oh no.
And so he just had another one in like 2012,
Oh.
where somebody said that he forced himself on her at this casting call and stuff, and in this
Ugh.
callback room. And
That's
so
gross.
yeah, so he's a gross human being.
Dang.
Yep. And so Rome,
Makes you sad.
one of the greatest of all time, also a horrible human being. So
Yeah. Ugh. Well.
But Mia Farrow,
what about Mia?
she's still kicking.
Yeah. Is
Yeah,
she?
She's on Broadway right now
Oh.
with Patti LuPone.
Oh snap.
She's doing a play called The Roommate, which is like a comedy about like old women growing up and their roommates and
That's
probably
awesome.
having a slapsticky good time with each other. Yeah.
Good on her. Good on her.
Now, Rach,
Mm.
we're talking about cults in this movie.
Yeah, we did talk about cults in this movie.
There is a cult leader in the extras.
What?
In the party scene, there's this cult leader who he's a part of this weird yoga cult. It's called the Budapest cult. And
Okay.
his whole thing, his name is Michael. He just goes by Michael, no last name.
Uh-huh.
And Michael from the Budapest cult, his whole thing was he's like, you can call us a cult if you want, but all we do is we dance and do yoga. That's like his whole thing. He's like,
Oh.
we're just a yoga cult. Like we just dance around and everything. Had all these dudes in the cult with him.
Uh-huh.
And he said he was like celibate. And then everything came out. They're like, no, you are not celibate. This is not a yoga cult. This is an actual cult. These men, he pretty much enslaved them all. He had a bunch of male sex
What?
slaves
Oh my god.
that were serving
And
under
he
him.
was an extra in this?
He's an extra in this. He's in the party scene.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. The lore.
It's crazy, right?
Ugh.
There's like rumors that the guy who came up with the satanic cults, the satanic religion or whatever, you'd recognize him. He's got like a bald head. And
I
he's-
would recognize him.
You would. He's like a weird character that you'd be like, oh, I've seen this guy before.
Yeah.
And he's got like a creepy goatee and like some weird
Honestly,
eyebrows.
That
and-
sounds very familiar. I think I do know
yeah,
who
I
you're
think you know
talking
exactly.
about.
You wear like a red robe a lot of times.
Yeah, I don't know what I've seen him on, but yeah.
And so there was a rumor he's in this. He's not in this. But one spicy piece of trivia.
Yeah. More?
More.
Like I say, these gets very spicy
Rach,
trivia.
when was this baby born?
When was the baby born?
Yep.
Well, it was summertime.
So, yep, it was in June.
It was in June. Is it like the summer equinox or something like that?
No.
No?
What month is June?
What month is June? Oh, 6.
June?
Is the date June 6th?
1966.
This takes place in 1966.
So 666.
Clever.
They do a bunch of shit like that in this film.
Yeah, I bet they do.
There's
I bet
a-
someone did all their satanic research and made sure all the bits and bobbles were there.
There's a moment where she's at the payphone,
Uh-huh.
and actually the guy who's waiting for the payphone is the guy who gets the gallstones or whatever and almost
Yeah.
dies. But she picks up the phone and she goes to dial and she spells hell
Oh, really?
on the numbers.
Crazy.
Wild.
No wonder there was wild stuff happening. They were more or less like acting like a satanic ritual on set. Like
Mhm.
it makes sense why some things may have come through.
Rach, what were favorite scenes, parts of the movie, spookiest part?
Spookiest part, I think when she like runs back to her house and she's being chased by like essentially like her doctor who's in on it and her husband, like she's starting to realize that they're all in on it, and she's trying to get back to her house, and it's all like very like realistic, right? She tried to call another doctor, but he kind of like sold her out, and then she tries to call one of her best friends, but she's out to a movie, and it's just all the things that like at that time without a cell phone, those are all the things that you would try to do if you were in a similar crazy situation. But the fact that they have like a secret doorway into their house, because this was basically a huge mansion before, a huge upper penthouse that's now been truncated into lots of like little apartments. So between them though, there's lots of doors, and that's how like the cult leaders can get in and out of their apartment.
And it's kind of fun because in later scenes, you'll see the witches like running around in the background.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, did you never see that?
I saw it when she was there in the house, and her husband and
the
that
other guy, yep. That's really
it's
what I'm
almost
thinking
comical.
of. Yep, it is. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but then, so the whole piece about her, so she has the baby, which she kind of gets like knocked out for, and then they tell her that the baby didn't make it, the baby died because we couldn't get you to a hospital because you were acting so crazy. So then she's sitting there with all this like post-mortem and she's like pumping still, and then she gets a wild hair. She starts to hear a baby crying, and she's like, I don't think my baby is dead. I think you took my baby. But the baby's still alive, because she was thinking that they were going to take the baby and like use its blood for magic or something.
Blood magic is stronger.
They were
going
to kill her baby,
blood.
like a sacrifice, a human sacrifice. But no, she keeps hearing a baby at night, and eventually she gets brave enough and goes through the closet door, and it comes on the other side of this giant crazy room with all these people from all over the apartment and world that are there to say hi to baby Satan. And there's like this giant black bassinet with like an upside down cross.
Yeah.
It's just the craziest thing ever. I thought that was wild.
Did you wish we could see the baby at all, or were you glad that you never get to?
Honestly, I think it was pretty wise that they didn't do that.
I agree.
Yeah, because you just live through her reaction. She looks at the baby thinking that it's her and her husband's baby, and then she's like, what did you do to it? Why are its eyes like that? And someone's like, he has his father's eyes.
What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
And then you see a flashback to the devil scene. So thought that was crazy. Obviously, the drugged devil scene was crazy. There's lots of other like random little scenes too where it's kind of dreamlike at times, where she will start to think something and then that will appear above her, you know?
Roman wanted you to think this might all be in her head.
Yeah.
Because the book doesn't do that at all. The book is very much like this has happened.
Yeah.
And Roman is not religious. And so he was like, I don't want people to think about this being a reality. I want them to almost think like, is this psychosis? Is this like,
sure.
This is
that's much more interesting.
Yeah. Is this all
Can
imagined?
she be trusted? Is she a reliable reporter of what's happening to her?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, maybe she is crazy. Maybe we do need to help her back. And then everyone starts to take care of her, and you're like, yeah, I guess maybe she just was overthinking something. Nope, not at all. She was right on the money.
She knew what was happening.
She knew. It's witches.
Any other acting talk that you'd like to get into?
No, I thought everyone was pretty good. How about you? Did you have any favorite scenes or spots that you want to talk about?
So there's a lot of like little things I picked up on this last run with it, where like, especially with Cassavetes, like where he would like get up and go do something. And even if he came right back, I was like, I know exactly what he just did there.
Oh, really?
Or like there's a moment where her friend is visiting before the glove. He's looking for his glove. And there's a moment where Cassavetes is like, yeah, hold on just a second. I'll be right back or whatever. I didn't know you were going to be here. And he's like, I just got to run out for a real quick second. I'll be right back. And then he went into the cupboard and grabbed the glove and handed it off to them and came back. And I would have never gotten that if you hadn't seen the whole movie yet.
Yeah.
And so it was cool.
That's cool.
It was cool to see these moments where it's like, oh, fuck, he's plotting with the witches right now.
Gone.
They're like doing little tricks to keep everything going.
Wow, that would be cool to go back and watch it, knowing what we know now. I thought it was interesting too at the beginning. And maybe you know more about this than I do, but there was a gal at the very beginning who kind of befriends her that's living with this witch couple. And then she essentially like jumps out of a window or something like that.
Yep.
But I thought that was interesting, and we don't really come back to I missed like her purpose.
Yeah, and you know, even when I was watching it and I saw that happened, I was like, okay, I know this movie.
Yeah.
What the hell just happened here?
Yeah.
Did she agree not to go along with it, and so they cursed her, and then she ended up jumping out of a window because the witches were like mad at her?
Yeah.
I was like, or was she pregnant? And she was like, no, I'm not doing this, and she figured it out.
She jumped out of the window.
Yeah.
Or what? Yeah.
So she
had like that protective charm on her as well, which was also
the
like
stinky charm.
Yeah, there's
full
this,
of
like,
butthole hair.
Gross.
They talk about being gross, like it smells like butt.
Yeah, there's like it's not devil's snare, but something like that that's in this little charm that the gal was wearing when she died, and then essentially Mia Farrow's character is gifted this charm with it, and that's how people can tell that you're a witch or you're one of them, because you had that stinky stink about you. So just protecting her from who knows what.
Pretty wild stuff.
It was wild. There's so much to this movie.
Yeah.
This was crazy.
It's cool.
This is worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
Did you like it more or less than The Thing?
I liked it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That had a lot of psychological thriller pieces too, The Thing did.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspense.
There's a lot of
Who
suspense.
is real?
And that's like, a lot of like human nature, like what do we do when we can't trust each other to tell the truth about who we are? Survival things. But yeah, I think witches is always going to win out for me. Witches over aliens, come on.
But witches over vampires?
Oof, good question. I'm going to give it the edge to witches, but vampires are probably second.
You just said last podcast about vampires. Vampires are your thing.
Vampires are also my thing. Vampires and witches. The lore around them is just, it's too fun.
Oh, here's a good one for you. Aliens or trolls?
That is a great one. I'm so glad you asked.
Isn't it?
Aliens or trolls? I will give the edge to aliens.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of like, well, who knows, maybe.
Who knows with trolls?
But who knows with trolls as well, right? That's
Could
also
happen.
very plausible.
Very possible.
Two-nosed trolls running around.
With boogers. Lots of boogies. Hopefully you guys checked out Ernest Scared Stupid. And Rach.
Yeah.
I think we're ready.
Okay. Now, I threw this together quite quickly because I was not under the impression we were podcasting. In fact, Ty and I didn't take any active notes during this one. And I don't think it mattered. I think we're still talking about everything I would have talked about had I written down notes. I thought we were just enjoying a film together, but
nope, never. It has to be for the pod.
I had to throw it in the pod. We were struck by big magic, so had to do it.
So unlike Roman Polanski, Rach will not be meticulous about this new summary.
Yes,
your criticism.
Yeah, no worries there. All right, I said, perfect mix of pixie cuts and witchy shenanigans, much like my prep for this film, no notes. I gave this a 76%. This is right under Annie Hall and right above Die Hard.
Oh, wow. That's great company.
It's a good mix.
And
it's a really
this,
good mix.
for me, was a 75%.
Oh, wow.
It's right there with another film with tons of like cursed lore, The Crow.
The Crow.
And Predator.
Whoa. The Predator.
I was like, this movie is just right up there with those classics.
Absolutely.
I loved it. I had a great time.
Me too. I'm glad you showed this to me. I'm glad now I know, because honestly, it's a classic, and I feel like I've been welcomed into like horror royalty by watching this.
And all you really have left as far as like major horror movies that you have to see before you die is like Alien and Silence of the Lambs. And both of those, I'll be honest, they're not good enough for scary movie. So you're gonna have to just watch. Those are summer's off movies.
Oh, summer's off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds very suspenseful.
And they are. They're both suspenseful. They're not horror-y enough.
Well, hopefully something good comes out
between
now and then.
Next year we'll do Haunting of Hill House that season.
The whole season?
The whole season, or we'll do The Witch.
Good
Those are the
Lord.
options.
Nah.
You can pick now. Do you want to pick now on
No,
the pod?
I'm not picking now on the pod. I'm not getting
Okay.
saddled to either of those choices. I
Okay,
don't
those
like
are your
those
two choices.
No.
Yeah?
No.
And there will be no bargaining either. There'll be no
I'll
negotiations with freaking Silence of the Lambs. That's not on the table.
We'll just see. We have a whole year.
No.
Let's not make any hasty decisions.
So do you think for our sign off this week, should we do a Hail Satan or do we do
Ooh,
a...
I haven't done one of those before. Yeah.
We could just do Happy Halloween, I
Let's
suppose.
just do Happy Halloween. I
Oh,
love
okay.
that. All right.
Well, Happy Halloween,
Happy Halloween.
everybody! All right, mic check, everybody.
Mic check, check.
Ah. Very good.
Another one?
Go ahead. Yep.
Ah.